Grand rising to all my spiritually enhanced individuals, and good morning to those who are not. You already know who it is. It's your boy Benga Etuk, aka Benga the Menace, aka Nigerian Nightmare, aka Nigerian Hot Boy. Okay, you get it. I am extremely apologetic for the month. It's literally been 1 month since my last Teacup with Etuk. This has been a busy month, from planning music videos to planning a new single release. Y'all have to excuse my kids. They're a little jealous because I'm in a sanctuary this morning. Between the music video, planning a new single rollout, doing photo shoots, working 2 jobs. Give it up for me. Somebody gotta do it. So, this week's topic: who has it harder, more difficult, I shall say, black men or black women? No, it's a rhetorical question. I don't want you to actually answer it because I don't want you to compare nor contrast the individualities or the similarities, Per usual, I will do my little borderline main topics that speak out to me. I will discuss a few of them. I'll find a way to intertwine the two, see where they correlate. And I will also do a little bit speaking about, myself as a black man and my experience, because I can only speak, upon that specifically. So let's get into it. I have been doing quite a few things that I cannot wait for you guys to actually see. It's so hard as an artist to keep my mouth closed. Like, feasible isn't the word. Like, y'all gonna see. That's all I can say. Y'all gonna see. And y'all gonna see. I'm just checking out all these different sound effects that I'm doing right here. Okay. Who has it more difficult? Black men or black women? In today's time, the most common argument is typically gender related, but in my opinion, I don't personally feel like the two should be compared nor contrasted. Pardon me, y'all. All I had this morning was my coffee. I didn't get my baking session together. So bear with me. We all human. Don't judge me. Let's get back to it. This week's categories is a day in the life of both women and men, a few opinions and standpoints from the viewers, and a brief explanation of everything in between. How does that sound? Okay. Is it difficult being a man? And is it difficult being a woman? Do you see what the opposite gender complains about, or do you oversee it? How does it make you feel as a man or as a woman? Or how do you feel about what you see, happening towards the opposite gender? Let's do some data entry real quick, shall we? I did a questionnaire on Instagram just a few days before I actually started to write this, and plan out the eulogy. I love calling it a eulogy like it's a funeral, but I do be killing it, I be killing that elephant in the room every time. So it's a eulogy. The question I put in my bio was, what are some things that makes it difficult being a man? And what are some things that makes it difficult for being a woman? I had a few men say things referring to keeping their manhood in times of turmoil, being in touch with their emotions, and being judged for it, being a provider year-round, and lastly, transitioning from a boy to a man. Cool. I could definitely agree to all 4 of those. A few of the females stated things like having a mother in competition with them. I've seen that firsthand. Having a stepfather more interested in the child than the mother, in more ways than one. hypersexualized by the clothing they wear, and lastly, being forced into stereotypical existence. I will add insight on the concerns that are stated for both genders, as I stated earlier, and I will shed light on the conjoined concerns via marriage or male and female relationships or friendships. A man keeping his manhood in times of turmoil can be, can be difficult, and it can vary from composure. When arguing with the opposite gender, being sexually exposed by an old partner, or even being head of household during financially challenging times. Let's get started. Let me put this so I can focus. Y'all gonna have to ignore my whining children in the back. They think they run me and they don't. Odysseus, be respectful and be mindful. A man has been brainwashed to believe emotions are feminine activity. So when they are, of age to date and to actually express emotions towards someone they find interest in, or someone who actually, pushes them to express concerns. They begin to be called gay, soft, or simps for doing what Jahim literally told them to do. Put that one first. Not only does it leave a child emotionally undeveloped, but it also socially stuns them. In the simplest form of conversation, it can cause that said person, whether male or female, to cower, avoid serious conversations, avoid commitment as an adult, and oftentimes when these men are abusive with short fuses, it becomes a defensive mechanism for the cowardice that they feel. Does that make sense? I don't want to feel like I'm losing y'all. Okay. I was trying not to lose y'all and I lost my spot. Okay, here we are. Being forced to break those social handcuffs makes them feel cornered in and results in physicalities, negative and aggressive physicalities. But on the contrary, as often as people say they hate toxic and underdeveloped men, they hate men with, with a higher emotional requirement even more. They hate them to an extent where it's overly concerning, and an overly attentive man is considered homosexual to a lot of black women. A man can fulfill every want and need, cry with you, support your emotional requirements, your emotional investments, and be considered a friend more than an actual man. The friend zone is something that men actually have to deal with. Even the most emotionally in tuned men, no matter how much you pamper, how much you pander, how much you actually, kiss the feet, worship the ground, some women will still friend zone you and see you as a simp because they don't like men who were actually raised emotionally and morally presentable. Just as I told y'all how men are raised to be numb, a woman is raised to feed that ego and think that it's okay for that man to be numb. Women believe, okay, I'm marrying this numb, this emotionally divisive, this emotionally underdeveloped male. It's my job as a woman to step in and make it better for him. It's my job as a woman to alleviate. It's my job as a woman to speak for him in public settings when he's choked up. And it's not. As a wife, you don't have a job but to be a wife. Whatever that may consist of for you, everyone varies differently. Be a wife. You cannot be his heart. You cannot be his mind. You cannot be his soul. You feel me? It just does not add up. Because when it's time for him to speak when you are not there, it will actually be shown this entire time that that man was never thinking for himself. That man never actually had the brain activity to think for himself. Like, women often get men these high-profile job positions because they actually take the time to do the male's application for them, as opposed to the man doing it himself and not getting that job because he's not as emotionally vulnerable or emotionally truthful to the experiences that they're asking you on these high-profile applications, etc. Not just jobs, But that was my example. Whew. As I said, women are raised to feed that ego of man and his shortcomings and his insecurities and to be his vulnerability. So when a woman is abused, they often think it's love, frustration, and abuse to a good extent. Frustration and abuse are two completely different avenues. Two completely different avenues. You can always have one without the other. Some people do not need to be frustrated to put their hands on you. And some people do not have to put their hands on you just because they are frustrated. Does that make sense? Some people hit you because they already know they have shortcomings. They already know they're insecure. They're not going to double check. They're just going to put their hands on you. You know, some people are very thoughtful of the after, what could happen, what's going to happen, and they leave it at their, irritation. They deal with it another way, not necessarily a healthy way, but they don't deal with it by hitting you. If you're in quotations, I wrote, he's stressed from work, or maybe it's just me. Have any of you ever said that before? Whether I'm being a mother, whether being a girlfriend to a popular partner, a sports player, whatever it may be. Like, maybe he's stressed from work, or maybe it's just me. I hear that so often. I hear so many women actually blame themselves for things that does not include them at all. 9 times out of 10, if a man constantly coming home mad, yes, it's possible for a man to be heightened with emotions every single day at his workplace. But at that point, he got another bitch. Ain't no way you coming home mad every single day. Ain't no way. But I will say, had this been in the times of slavery, had this been in a time of segregation, even though we are still modern day slaves, had this been a time where we were openly and legally hated, castrated, killed, raped, etc., having a black man go to work 9 times out of 10 for a white person, being mistreated all day, being paid not even what they're truly supposed to be paid, not taking home what they're truly supposed to be taking home, still, having to eat all that up, not only does it damage the ego, it damages your actual mental, because the ego is just a heightened confidence in self, a heightened confidence in self that could be positive, negative, toxic, or lovely. It varies in every different person. But to allow them to strike your ego constantly at these jobs and knowing you cannot quit because you are a provider, but because you know you won't find another job as a black man, or you won't find another job getting probably the 35 cents an hour that you were making, you take that frustration home. You take it out on your kids. You take it out on your wife. You take it out on your mother, your sisters, your brothers. And I remember watching an interview a while ago, and the black woman said, the way that you put on the fake smile and the fake happiness for the white man at work, could you just continue that fake smile when you get here home with me? Why must I face the aggression that has been there, since the morning time? Pretend to be happy with me. At least pretend like you're enjoying my presence. But I do not deserve, the conflict just because I'm the last person you see in the day. Women tend to blame themselves for the shortcomings of others, other men to be specific. Women tend to get the short end of the stick in these situations as well, because they still have to lay down with this man, they still have to be under the same roof as this man, and they still have to be dependent on this man all at the same time. Being a provider year-round can be overwhelming, especially if you have multiple children, and that's often an arguing point as well. A job can lower hours, cut wages, or lay you off overall, but taking the tension or bad energy home with you, as I just stated, is never a good idea. Bottled up emotions and ready to explode on the next person they interact with, which will 9 times out of 10, as I stated, wife, mother, children, even a pet, whoever it may be. Misplaced anger is misplaced anger. By no means am I excusing the behavior of these abusive or these underdeveloped men, but in the times of segregation, discrimination, and purposeful bankruptcy in our communities and purposely starving us mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, emotionally, it leads to this shit. It really challenged men and women, but in two completely different ways. Having that feeling of failure as a man really makes you question your hustle and your value as an individual. Also, as a woman, having to witness your partner beat themselves up about possibly missed meals due to the cause and effect. And the Great Depression would be a hugely great example. Eventually, if things continue to decline in this manner, you will find yourself rationing or making key decisions for the family as a whole. Also, another great decision would be when slaves finally found out that they were actually free months after actually being declared free, and them having to start out, branch out on their own and find hustle opportunities and finding money and finding these things to start these new lives for their families on their own. That wasn't easy. Like to find a place, and 9 times out of 10, almost everyone that was fleeing, you were either a child or you were with a child. Okay? So just food for thought. Pete, food for thought. That's a very important acronym. FFT. You'll see it in the future. I ain't gonna tell you where you see it, but if you real, you're gonna reach back out to me once you do see it. Whew. No matter what, these fathers did whatever it took to provide. Nothing compared to the men in today's time, though. Today's time, a man will literally watch their women struggle, will watch their women work 2 jobs, babysit, cook, clean. Not give a damn. Won't even help. Won't even watch the kid. Won't alleviate in any way because they've seen their mothers struggle so much they feel like that's what a woman has to do. Men, to face trauma, a lot of times debunk the trauma and try to place it as, my mother was such a hard worker. My mother was such a hustler. It's because she had to be. It's because she knew your daddy wasn't going to do anything. And that's not always a good thing. That's nothing to brag about, actually. Your mother should not have to do what your father should be or could be or would be doing if he were a real man. Food for thought. Specifically focusing more on men now, I will introduce the way mothers compete with daughters. Specifically focusing more on the women. My apologies. I reread that wrong. I will introduce the way mothers compete with their daughters and having a stepfather being more interested in the child than the woman herself. You'd be surprised how many mothers actually despise their own children. From a very young age, they become competitive and begin breaking the egos of these young ladies. A lot of women spend the times while a child is young, like that 3 and 4 years old, where they actually start to wear tennis shoes and are able to wear cute little outfits that may match the mothers, that may not match the mothers, whatever it may be. Some women genuinely do let their child know, like, this look a mess, this look ugly on you, you fat. And it sounds blasphemous, rolling off my tongue. But I guarantee all of us know someone who speaks to their child that way. Either calling their daughter bitches, hoes, trick, slut, waste of space, and 9 times out of 10, the hatred comes just from the father, just still hating the father in a bitter manner. It's not nothing the child did per se, because the child's only 3 or 4, as I just mentioned. Mostly starting from resembling their fathers or simply wanting to actually be around their fathers, as I just stated. The mothers take offense to this. Women feel like just because they are no longer with that man or no longer with the father of the child, that the child must disappear as well, and I don't feel like that's right. I don't feel like you should take a man from his child if he wants to be there. Now, if you have to beg him, that's different. We don't beg people to do necessities. We don't beg people to do what they signed up for. You can't withdraw. Well, technically, let me recant that statement. You could withdraw your rights, your parental rights with the state, but you ain't filed no paperwork. So I'm finna go file some paperwork. Child support. As they become older, they actually achieve milestones such as graduating. You know, you get your pre-K graduations, you get your elementary graduations going on, whether you go from intermediate to middle or from elementary to middle, different states, different situations. You could join a sports team, you could be in a cotillion, you could be a pageant girl, whatever you do that, you know, collects accolades and achievements and milestones. And it may even be things the mother didn't have a chance to do, as I just stated, those things that mother have always wanted to do as a child, Girl Scouts, have just regular friends, have regular lives, whatever it may be. It breeds envy, unnatural envy. And a lot of women don't see it at the beginning because, you know, they're so stuck in the moment. People get so refocused in reliving their trauma. They don't realize there's, you know, you're in a trance. You should not be, let me not say that. It's okay to relive trauma because it's almost impossible to completely forget something unless you are that traumatized. But to dawn on the times, you know, where you were your child's age and try to look for different opportunities and different excuses of why you didn't do this, and oh, the only reason my daughter is able to do this is because I made it happen, etc. Those are power moves out of insecurity. Those are power moves out of trauma. You know, why are you jealous that your child is doing something that you were not able to do? That's you kicking down a door. That's you putting some wealth into your family, not financially, but there is nothing like a memory. A memory will outlast $1 any day. Okay? And you heard that from Bank of the Menace. Graduating, staying out of trouble, receiving attention from others naturally, having a nice, attractive personality, just a boisterous, bubbly individual. Those are a few things that can make a mother frown upon their child. The most common reason is the stepfather or the real father giving more love to the child than the mother. It starts from birth, even without it even having any negative connotation to it. Just a father being there for his child, pampering her, treating her like a princess. A lot of women get jealous of that. They feel like they're losing love because it's being given to the child. And that's so damn insecure of you to say, that's a child. You're an adult. Y'all receive two different forms of love. Y'all don't realize there is more than one definition of love. There is more than one category of love. You do not give the same love you give to your mother to your partner. You do not give the same love you give to your partner to your little sister. You do not give the same love you give to your little sister to your wife or to your husband. And if that does not make sense, I think you are a part of the issue. Both in positive and negative aspects. If you understand what I'm pinpointing, I respect you. Thank you so much. And if you don't, I would love to further discuss this in the DMs. I would love to further discuss this in the YouTube comments, Instagram, wherever. I just feel like it's always good and always great to have these conversations with people who do not agree or people who have just slightly different insights, because knowledge is power. Teach me something. Let me teach you something. And it may be unknowing, like 2-3 days from now, I could learn what you taught me and I can have my epiphany. It does not always have to be immediate, you know? Incest, rape, and manipulation of a child. The male in the home can be a predator, and the jealous mother will completely disregard that the male is being a predator and fight for the attention of this man. They will completely skip over the fact that their child's being raped, their child's being, you know, exposed to such trauma. And see, this bitch thinks she finna take my man from me. She got me fucked up. This my man. You know, you a child, you know. A whole lot of deflection going on there. Like, whew. Hatred will then begin toward the child, and in some cases, harm is done to the child. Some women kill their children thinking, now that she's out of the picture, me and you can finally be together in in peace and harmony. We can finally recant that love that we had for each other before this child came in the picture. And that typically always makes the situation worse. It always makes the situation worse because they don't realize until it's too late that the man was actually ancestrally attracted to this child. And it wasn't just an attention thing. It wasn't just because it was his child or he was trying to spite you by, uplifting her. It was genuine predatory action. It's rare for women to retract from those feelings in ways, and by the time they do, as I just stated, the man is already out of the picture. Once a bit of remorse is even shed, if the child is still living, the child wants nothing to do with the mother. The child, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, 12 out of 10, has been expressing, crying out for help, trying to get the mother to realize this man is doing upon me what he normally does upon you, and it's not right, it's disgusting. They want nothing to do with their mothers at that point because it's a broken record. Them constantly crying to their mother like you're my stepfather or your boyfriend, your husband is raping me. And I'm sure quite a few of you had to deal with that. And I apologize tremendously. Extremely remorseful to those who still are not believed by their parents that their, other half of adult was predatory. There's still a lot of people whose parents don't believe them after they've came out and spoke about the hurt or the turmoil or the trauma, or the overall way it just affects your future relationships, your future mutualistics, not just even like an emotional relationship with a boyfriend, but in the workplace, in your friendships, religion-wise. Like, it really does mess you up in some ways if you are not able to get the healing that you need, A few women via DM'd have asked me that I add that, specifically the one last part that I was just speaking about. They asked if I could, add a little more insight to that specifically because so many of them have dealt with it in the past and so many of them deal with it now in the present. I pray that you don't have to continue this travesty in the future, because every day we wake up shall be a new day for opportunity, a new day for growth, and no one deserves to be held back by someone else's disgusting look on life, Does that make sense? Yeah. I also want to speak specifically about just some things that I personally face as a Black man. I work at one of the most racist places you could think of. Whole Foods Market is the breeding ground for racist, insecure individuals. It's uplifted, insecure, and, obnoxiously aggressive people for so long that a person with a pure heart and a pure soul has no business being in a company like Whole Foods. I have been working there 4 years. Nobody knows how my voice sounds because I don't speak. Silence is powerful. I don't speak. I have 3 employees that I speak to that are Black. I go out of my way to speak to them because those are the only people who make me feel safe. The only people who love me for me. You have another Black person that is employed there who does not care to be particularly a part of the Black community, so I won't count that. I won't rely on that. I won't depend on that, I'm 6'4", I'm 200 pounds, 220 pounds to be precise. And as you can see, my voice kind of roars when I speak. They're very intimidated by me. So many of us have never even spoke nor made eye contact, but they have made up in their hearts and souls that they do not like me. Never have I ever been a person to give a damn. Never have I ever been the person to try to convince you that I am a good person. I don't care. Only the real can relate. If you know me, you know I am one of the most loving, bubbling. There is no one like me. You will never meet another Abanga. Never. Not only do I bend over backwards for people, I do the splits as well. I be looking out for motherfuckers. Okay? I keep my word. If I say I'm going to do something for somebody, I do it times 10. My resume speaks for itself. You can ask anybody about me. I promise you. But they don't like people who have their own minds. Today's society uplifts people who cannot think for themselves. And mad bitches link up. Always. Mad bitches have always linked up, and they always will, unfortunately. Having all these people against you, having all these people look at you upside your head, and you just like living your life, la 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 la, at work. It's pretty fucked up because work is typically not the place you expect all this beef. I expect beef from people on the streets, people I grew up in the hood with, and it's never them. It's always an insecure racist at work, I feel like the struggles I have the most are, they weaponize my words, they weaponize my actions, they weaponize my tone of voice. I am a very nonchalant person, but I also have a personality at the same time, if that makes sense. I'm very mellow tone. I don't raise my voice. I don't feel like there's a necessity to. My point gets across very well in this tone that I speak now. And they hate it. They hate that they cannot get a rise out of me. They hate that I allow them to make themselves look like fools and I just step right over them because it just wasn't enough to upset me. Maybe you'll do better next time, even though they never do. I have been there 4 years and I have seen 5 different store managers lose their jobs. I've seen 5 different store managers come through Whole Foods thinking, they're going to make a change, thinking they're going to get me to cower, get me to kiss their feet. It never happens. It would be different if I was causing trouble at work. It would be different if I was gossiping. It would be different if I was, giving customers a hard time. I don't. The customers are so racist as well, but being that they financially keep up the store, keep the company running, they're worshipped regardless of action. A customer could pretty much call me a nigga. A customer could pretty much do as they want with me, as they always do at work. Clear as day, they'll see it, look right at it, and act like it didn't happen because it's not them. I realize a lot of people are so insecure these days. It's more of it's not me, so why should I care type of personality. And I've always been selfless. I was raised to be selfless. Like, there is nothing like looking out for other people when you obviously can see something's not right. There's no way this guy stays in trouble and does not speak. How are you forcing him into stuff that he never did? You're weaponizing his silence. You're weaponizing everything he does to make it seem like he's against the system, when really I'm against the bullshit. I don't come to work to make friends, and I don't give a fuck about y'all not liking me. I'm not in high school. I'm so confident in myself. I'm that nigga, like, genuinely, through and through. Can't nobody fuck with me. And I feel like just in my walk alone, I make that pretty obvious. So I can see why y'all are intimidated. And by all means, even with me feeling this way about myself, I never go out of my way to talk about you. I never go out of my way to speak ill, to treat you ill, bypass any rumors. I don't do any of that. What's the point of looking down when I'm so high? No pun intended. Literally, but what's the point of looking down to be ugly when I am up top living my life? I'm literally in the clouds every day, just smiling. 9 times out of 10 in my head, writing music, freestyling in my head, literally just working on music, just doing what I do. And you got somebody mugging me with an ugly face. A ugly ass face. Like, it's so much that I could just continue and just rant about as a black man that I know for a fact that I'm not tripping, that I'm not overreacting about, as well as a black woman could. Each topic that I bring up here, what I say, my 30 to 45 minutes that I speak on them, it's still not enough. These topics could literally be spoken about endlessly. And I can't wait till my following becomes large enough to where I begin to hold actual live seminars for these topics. That'll make Teacup with Etuk not only corporate, but it will make Teacup with Etuk extremely relatable, extremely, reachable. Like, I have a lot of things in store for you guys, and I appreciate you guys for taking your time to listen to me, because we're 36 minutes in, and you just got to give it up. I mean, thank y'all so much. I really have been trying to get back to this topic with y'all because it's been so much I've been doing musically that you will get a chance to see. You'll get a chance to see it, okay? And just give it up for me one more time. But thank y'all so much for tuning in. It's your boy Banger the Menace. It's your boy Banger Etuk. It's your boy, the one, Nigerian hot boy, Nigerian nightmare. I have already started writing the Teacup with Etuk for the next topic, since I have waited so long to put out this one. Stay tuned. Stay safe. Stay unsafe if you have to, because Houston's crime has been through the roof. Peace. This is the real peace. This is war. This is actual peace, conjoined togetherness. This separation means these two are at war amongst each other in a face-off. So, peace. Love, peace, and hair grease. I'll catch y'all later.